Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we're checking out the second release in Kotobukiya's line of Arcanadea kits here. This is Velretta. After how awesome the first release was, which was Lumitea, I really enjoyed that kit. Definitely very cool. This one I have a lot of high expectations for after that. Just checking out this box art alone, I mean, that's some pretty beautiful box art on that. So before we even get into the kit, we'll take a look around the box and all the contents, then we'll check out the kit, but I think it's going to be another really nice one here from Kotobukiya. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Right, so like I said, the box art here, really nice, not just the illustration, but the fact that it's in this really nice matte finish, whereas the gold for the lettering and then for this gold trim around the outside of the box is in this really nice glossy metallic gold there, which does look really cool. But the illustration work itself, really nice, very nicely colored and detailed here around for the box art on the front. Really cool. On the ends of the box, an alternate illustration there, but you still have that nice gold for the lettering. On the other end of the box, a different illustration, vertical in this case, so that looks really nice there. And for the long side of the box, we also have it vertical on this side for the Willys mode there. And you can see just a couple of sample images here of the kit when it's all built and painted up. The normal mode as well. We've got to look at some of the different poses and weaponry that we can do here, that we can build, what we can do with the poses and weaponry. And then a look at the kit here with that cool kind of background there, looking very nice. Around on the other side here, we have a look at what the kit is going to look like just built, unpainted, straight out of the box, and our included face option parts. Looks like we're going to have 4 options in this case, and the list price over here for this one at 7,600 yen. And as you guys can see, a pretty thick box here, so even though the character looks like kind of a smaller, petite sort of character, there is going to be quite a lot of runners and stuff here in the box. We are going to have some water slides, but it's basically just going to be for the eyes and then a couple of little like sweat droplets, and that's really all we have for water slide decals. Let's go ahead and check out the manual here. So we have the same box art on the front, minus the lining around the sides. On the back side, just our Kotobukiya logo. On the inside, some different photos and illustrations, like comparing the kit versus the illustration here. And then some more photos like what we saw on the outside of the box, just showing different accessories and poses, everything like that. A little bit about the Arcanadea world there. There is a website and a QR code you guys can check out more if you want to know a little bit more about it. Got our parts list right here, and then the construction of the kit. So all should be pretty standard. If you've built any, especially Kotobukiya, Mecha Musume style kits, anything like this before from Kotobukiya, Frame Arms Girl, you probably have a pretty good idea what to expect. But if we get all the way back here to the back, we've got our decal and color guides. So the decals, like I said, is pretty much just for the eyes, so that's pretty straightforward. The colors are all here in Japanese. If you want to refer to those, we have some more reference images here for you of the kit in its different modes, so you can see a little bit more about that and its weapon there. And that's it for the manual. So to start off, we've got a bunch of pre-painted parts here that are cut off and separated, like these kind of horn bits here for the head, which are in dark purple, and you have the gold and light blue painted on there. A couple other parts with gold pre-painted on. Some more parts here with gold on that dark purple and blue and gold, I think, and maybe that dark blue painted on this white part there for the collar, it looks like. More parts for the body, the clothing, dark purple parts painted on top of the skin tone, it looks like, for some of those parts for the body. And then of course our face option parts, we'll see how those look on the kit in a moment, but as usual, the painting quality, the details, the colors and everything on those looks fantastic as usual. We've got all of our hand parts here on this runner, which looks like we've got kind of a standard holding hands, closed fists, different weapon holding hands, open expressive hands. We'll take a closer look at these in the review portion, but all these are in this dark purple and on this softer plastic, as again is pretty typical for this type of kit. And here on what is technically runner Z is clear purple. This is going to be our base part, again very similar to like what we had with the Lumitea kit, but this looks really nice there in that clear purple. All the design work there on the base looks really cool. Getting into the runners then, runner A here is going to be some hair parts in this bluish purplish color there, and then runners B and C are going to be the rest of our skin tone parts here for the kit. Runners D, E, and F are going to be a bunch more parts there for the kit in that dark purple color. So as you can see, a lot of really nice sharp details around on some of these parts, very shiny parts there for like the skirting sections on that. Runner G here has a couple of smaller parts there in white. Runner H is some light brown parts here, looks like mostly for the legs. Again, I think this is to simulate the look of like leggings over skin tone kind of there with the color of that. Runner I is in a very nice kind of molded gold bronze kind of color there that has a really nice shine to it. Runner J is some parts here in that light bluish purple, kind of light periwinkle kind of color there. Again, really nice details and gloss finish here on those wide open spaces there on those parts. Lastly then, runners K and L are a couple more runners in that dark purple, a couple of joint parts I think for the wrists there on runner K. Runner L is some of these like kind of batwing kind of looking parts there, and that's it. Alright guys, so here is the kit all built up, and just like the Lumitea before it, this one is really nice. Very impressive kit here. Small, as you can see, it's going to be like kind of shorter in stature just because of the character design of it, but still has a ton of great detail on there. The color separation, the part separation, everything to make it just looking this good straight out of the box is really impressive with this one. It looks great. As we're seeing it now, this is sort of the like lesser armored form. We do have some option parts here which will give her some more kind of armor, especially on like just like one of the legs, and she's got some pretty cool weaponry in here as well, which we'll take a look at in just a second. But another really great kit in the line, and just straight out of the box, I think it looks fantastic. But let's go ahead and get into it. So first off, we've got the included stand, which is very nice, very decorative there on the bottom, which is cool. And then you can see it is like the bulkier size. If you're familiar with the frame arms and Megami Device stands, they're usually just like the one single like rod, and it works perfectly well. I think that probably would have worked fine for this kit as well, but we got this more bulkier, heavy duty stand, which should be very nice. You have a couple points of articulation. You also have this optional piece which gives you a ball joint for down here at the bottom. Right now I just have it on just the straight peg option, so it's only just going to rotate there at the base. But if you use this ball joint piece, then you can also adjust the angle of this arm, connection arm. And then we've got her main weapon, which is going to be this really long lance with this very weird sort of like tentacle drill appendage sort of thing at the end, which I find a little bit strange. But anyway, the gold looks nice. And the cool thing is that these larger bits here can be taken off of this weapon and then attached onto her skirt into like her more armored form. And so that's what we're going to do with those. But again, really nice detail around this. But obviously, if you go in and detail paint some of the details on this, it's going to look even that much better going around on those parts. So you can just imagine how good that's going to look once that's all painted up. For the body, when we transform it, you're going to add a second armored arm. You have like this bear arm. And we do have two of those if you didn't want to have this gold part and this wider kind of decorative white part there around the cuff of the sleeve. You can have just two smaller ones. Like I said, for the fully armored form, or the Will-Eyes form, we're going to switch to having both arms like this, and this bit of shoulder armor right here, which again, very nice and decorative, sort of looks like a duck's face now that I'm looking at it, like a duck's bill on there. Now I'm not going to be able to unsee that, but that's going to actually go over here on this side, but we're going to put that on there. Also for the Will-Eyes mode, we've got this leg, which we're going to swap out only for the right side. There's no like armored leg here for the left side as well, so you can't make those symmetrical, unfortunately, which would have been nice. But again, really nice detail, nice color separation with like that little bit of like that blue part up there at the top. But again, once this is fully painted up, it's going to look very nice. The little wing on here is able to rotate, and kind of you can adjust the angle of that. The same goes for the ones that are attached onto the ankles as they are right now. Lastly, for the Will-Eyes mode, we're going to swap out these small single wings there on the back for these sets of double wings like that we're going to put on there. These are also, of course, nicely articulated, and that you can move them forward and back and rotate them up and down, so you can adjust the angle of those. A couple of other option parts here. If you don't want to have any wings on the back at all, you can swap out for this gold piece on the back, which doesn't have the connection points for the wings. Also, that little blue piece there in the center, you're going to remove that, and that's going to be your hour connection point for the stand base for the kit, because as you can see here around the back of our hips is where the tail is plugged in, and so the tail will be able to move up and down, and then you can also rotate that here, and we have a couple points of rotation there, and then here towards the end of the tail also you can adjust the angle of that. And I like how obviously there's going to be a seam line there, but you can adjust the angle of that and it still looks pretty natural in the different poses, even though it's not, you know, fully articulated like a wire or something like that, like an actual organic shape. but it still looks pretty natural. You of course have some standard connection pieces like for here at the arm if you want to replace that little ring part there in the arm so that you can plug something onto this 3mm peg there. And the same thing for the legs, you can replace that part in the thigh with this one, which will give you the ability to plug a 3mm size, whatever weapon or accessory, extra bit of armor or whatever you might want to put onto there. Unfortunately, then you won't be able to have that bow detail on there. And while we're here looking at it, this detail of this part wrapped around the thigh is actually made up of, I think it was 4 or 5 different parts that you put on there. So there will be like small seams, maybe you can see it slightly here on the side, seams between that part as it's wrapped around, so it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge to paint. Probably what you're going to have to do if you want to get rid of those seams is to glue that and kind of remove that seam as it's already here connected onto the leg, which will be a challenge, and then for painting you'll have to mask it, so it will be a bit of a challenging part to paint, I think. Probably one other thing I almost forgot to mention for the Will Eyes mode, we're going to remove this crown and replace a part of the hair with this part, which will just give us just the crown bit kind of like sticking out of the hair, sort of more of a tiara, I guess, then at that point. And this full crown is going to be removed. If you're wondering how that's staying on there, and it's actually not like connected into anything, it's just staying on because it's sort of like pinched between the horns and the hair, and it's meant to be like that. In the manual it shows you that you're meant to like kind of press it down in a way so that it's held on there like by the horns essentially. So it works quite well in that they don't need to make any kind of like hard point built into the hair. So if you didn't want to have that crown on there, the hair doesn't have any just like unsightly holes or anything in it. And on the quick note while we're here, the hair, these little front parts of the hair are on little ball joints, so those can also move a little bit as well, which will be helpful for doing different poses if you need to kind of get those out of the way. And speaking of getting out of the way, we also have some alternate wrist joints here. You can see it's like an extended wrist joint for these forearm parts. For her to be able to hold on to the weapon, it's going to be kind of tight in and around here, so this extended wrist part makes it easier for you to hold the weapon with these arms. And another part we have for holding the weapon is just going to be this little clip, which is basically going to plug into our stand like that, and then you can clip this onto the spear weapon here, kind of like that, if you want to have it just like on its own, not being held in the hand. Lastly then, aside from our array of nice hand option parts, which are going to include your standard set of open resting hands, closed fists, weapon holding hands, and all that good stuff, is just going to be the face options, which again are beautifully painted, very colorful, and a lot of really expressive faces here for this one, so that makes it really nice for doing all sorts of different poses. Here's our other 2 face options here, and of course these are also compatible with the Lumitea and the upcoming kits in the line as well, so you'll be able to swap those, which is nice. And finally, last but not least, what is often the case with these kits, we have some alternate neck pieces here for if you wanted to plug a Frame Arms Girl or a Megami Device head onto this kit instead of the included head. The neck joint, the ball joint, is a slightly different size. It's unfortunate that Kotobukiya didn't just go with like a standard neck ball joint from the start for all their lines, and they wouldn't need to include these pieces every time, but we do have them in case you wanted to do that. And there's not too much else to go over in terms of the articulation of the kit. It's all pretty standard here. Just a couple things to point out, like for example, these kind of skirt parts here on the side are just attached in right there. Those can be moved up and down and rotated forward and back kind of slightly there like that. They're meant to be sort of aligned, and the tail's meant to be coming out above the skirt armor parts like that, as you can see. But I just want to point out this really nice color separation here between the gold and that dark purple. The little white accents in here is all really, really nice. And with that, let's go ahead and try out some poses with this kit, but I think as you can already tell, I am very much pleased with this one. Another really great entry into the line. I mean, Kotobukiya does Mecha Musume kits so good, we should have a pretty good idea what to expect from them at this point. So well, I should say, but I was really thoroughly impressed with the Lumitea kit, and the same holds true with this kit as well. It's really, really impressive, a lot of fun, a really great design. That said, a design that will benefit quite a lot from detail painting, so it's one that I would highly suggest, if you guys are feeling up to the challenge, to go in and do some detail painting on it. It's going to really improve the look of it, especially if you just have like just some gold paint and just a gold marker or something like that to go around on some of like the raised trim details and stuff around some of the areas. I think, you know, something like that could really improve the look of it. That said, I mean, just straight out of the box, I mean, it does look great, but you can see there's a lot of details in there that I think would benefit from some added detail painting to it, something to at least just kind of bring out those details a bit, even a little bit of panel lining or something like that at the very least. But once again, a really cool kit, and like with the Lumitea before, again, I do really like that the different forms are not like super drastically different, like with our Megami Device kits or frame arms, for example. You have like an armored and unarmored. The difference between the two forms, it's just kind of like a slight difference. It has a little bit more kind of going on with the design. There's a little bit more stuff added onto its like fully armored form, or in this case, the Will Eyes form. And you don't necessarily have to choose between one form or the other. You could sort of mix and match. Like if you wanted to have two of the arms in one particular style and you wanted to use the one armored leg or not, and you can kind of choose. You wanted to have two wings on one side and one wing on the other side, make it kind of a little bit asymmetrical. You can do stuff like that, which is nice. It's very easily customizable to make it kind of exactly how you want it, which is very cool. And of course, you know, the articulation on these kits is great. The details great, like I've been talking about, the color separation. Just the posability and the colors and everything on them is very, very nice. So highly recommended kit. Very much looking forward to the next one in the line. Let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comment section below. If you guys have any other questions, do feel free to let me know in the comments as well. If you guys want to check out this kit or any other kits from Kotobukiya, you know, you can check the link in the video description to USA Gundam Store. Got all sorts of cool stuff there for you guys to check out. More Mecha Musume kits from Kotobukiya, as well as other companies as well. All sorts of cool model kits there. So check out the link in the video description. And as always, guys, thank you so much for all of your support here too. Just watching the video, but also liking the video, making sure that you're subscribed. It all really helps out a lot. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. Until next time, hope y'all have a great day. See y'all later. Bye-bye.